channel, G17 Collectibles. In this video today we're going to be checking out the Toys Era Galaxy Warlord 1/6 scale figure, or otherwise known as Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy. Really happy about this release. It's a figure I feel should have been made by Hot Toys. It wasn't. There was a couple of characters from Guardians of the Galaxy which took a while to come out or were never made at all. We have most of them, but this one, main character, a bit disappointed that Hot Toys never picked up. Perhaps it was likeness rights, perhaps there was some licensing issues, but I think it's very popular. I think it's a very popular character, and I'm so pleased that Toys Era decided to make it as a third-party figure. Now this is the beauty of third-party. Didn't have to wait a year, 18 months, 2 years for a figure from announcement to being delivered. I believe this one was announced around about the end of June 21. Personally, I pre-ordered it on the 30th of June and I paid the balance around about the end of September, and it was with me at the end of October. So from the first time I saw it being announced, the minute I'm pre-order, it took 4 months to get this one to me. Now it's lay in a box since the end of October. Life got in the way. It's now January, it's a new year, and I'm starting to unbox some of the figures that I've got stacked up at the moment. And this one I'm particularly excited about. So I'm really looking forward to getting this one opened up. We'll check out what's inside the box, and then we will get a pose for the character, and then we'll have a look and see how he fits into the current collection. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much for being a subscriber, and welcome back to this video. I hope you're going to enjoy this one. If you're not a subscriber already, please do consider subscribing. Lots of content planned for this year, and there's already 30 odd videos already made over the last year, 18 months. And I plan, although I'm a small channel, I do plan to do regular videos every week or so. So without further ado, let's get the Galaxy Warlord or Ronan out of the box and let's take a closer look. So removing the top lid of the box, we see we have a piece of foam, and straight away we are presented the figure in all its glory and majesty. Now this one doesn't come with a great deal of accessories. I think it just comes with the hammer that Ronan has, a couple of spare hands, and I'm hoping somewhere a stand. Little instruction sheet. The hammer, I believe, lights up, so you can put some batteries in it. So there's a little instruction sheet on how to do that. And then underneath the figure itself, we have another layer, hopefully. We will find the stand, the very large hammer, and the Crotch Grabber. So let's get this figure out on the table and take a closer look. Okay, so here are the entire box contents out on the table. As I mentioned before, there's not too many accessories with this one. What you're getting is a couple of sets of hands, the stand, and Ronan's hammer. Initial impressions are good. I personally picked this one up from a website which is TNS Figures, which I've used quite a lot in the past. Pre-ordered through them. Very good, quick to communicate orders and deliver. It did take about 2 weeks on the boat to get to myself. It's free shipping worldwide, above £50. But TNS, very reliable website, great seller, has a great range of figures, both in stock and up for pre-order. They do some Hot Toys, but they generally stick to third-party figures, and Toys Era is a third-party manufacturer. Picked this guy up, I think I paid £170 all in for this one, and that was delivered, like I said. And I think, for the money, it's pretty good. There's already a few things I'm thinking, yeah, it's not up to Hot Toys quality, but let's be honest, this isn't a Hot Toys. This is a really good third-party figure of which there's probably a fraction made than what Hot Toys actually make. And the production and everything that goes into it, you know, we're not dealing with the high level, the high quality, but Toys Era have done a pretty standout job in this one. Couple of niggles, and we'll go through them as we look at the different various parts. Let's kind of look at what we've got so far. So we've got the hands. We have 4 hands, so 2 pairs. We have a hand here which is very well sculpted, very well textured. It's like one of the hammer shaft holding hands. And then we have something similar with the finger kind of out on it's almost like a trigger finger. We'll just give you a close-up of that one. So you see the hand shape, it's kind of more like a gun holding grip and trigger finger hand. And then this one is the hand that obviously grips the shaft of the hammer. The hands are done very well, I must be honest with you. The texture, the sculpt, they look in proportion, they're really nice. You've also got 2 fists, 2 closed fists with the figure as well. And they're pretty nice, they're really nice. Colour wise, I feel as if they could be a darker blue. I'll need to go and re-watch Guardians of the Galaxy to check the accuracy of the overall costume and the colour of the skin. But I do feel as if already it's a wee bit on the light side, but you know, it could be accurate. I just need to refresh my memory with what we see on screen. For the stand, you get a nice box plastic stand with vinyl, kind of Guardians of the Galaxy space-esque vinyl applied to the top, which is fine. Also on the front, we have this stand, which is almost like a very much a Hot Toy stand, and it seems as if a nameplate should go in there, but it's not included. And I've checked the box, and I don't recall on the pre-order pictures that the stand looked any different and had a nameplate. But I think that's a bit of a miss from Toys Era, to be honest with you. Why not just give us a stand without that nameplate? It's going to look a little bit in the daft side on display, this, you know, space for a plaque, but yet there's no plaque in the box. So that's a bit of a miss from a stand perspective. I do wish Toys Era had maybe thought that one through, or just included a little name plaque that said Galaxy Warlord, or something of that ilk. Even a Toys Era logo plaque might have been a bit nicer than just this empty box space. Anyway, it is what it is. Then you have the standard Crotch Grabber, very similar to the Hot Toys styles. Does feel like a different grade of plastic that they've used here. It doesn't feel like, it feels as if the plastic's maybe a little bit of a lower quality. But you know, it's a third party figure after all. And then we have this hammer. Now this hammer is, the shaft is die cast metal, and the head is cast plastic resin. You can unscrew that, but that's a nice weight to it. I do worry that the weight of this, which is really nice and well done, the figure's not going to necessarily be able to hold this in a lot of poses. It's going to put a lot of the weight of it. I mean, it's considerable, and it's a metal shaft of what, 8 inches long. Luckily the head's not metal, because otherwise it would be top heavy and it really wouldn't sit in the figure hands really well. But again, I need to check the accuracy of the shaft itself. It looks really nice. There is no weathering applied to this whatsoever. I feel as if the hammer head could be a little crisper when it comes to the actual details. So you can see there some of the panel lines are just not as crisp as they should be. But again, willing to forgive that. It's Toys Era, they do make spectacular stuff, being a third party manufacturer. So yeah, I think it's fine. I think the hammer's good. I like the fact that it's potentially lights up. I'm not going to personally do that. I'm not going to fiddle with it, but we'll see how that ends up being posed with the figure itself. And then we go on to the Galaxy Warlord, which is Ronan. Now, Body wise, it feels quite hefty, it feels quite chunky. I can already tell he's quite a tall figure. I would imagine there's probably some ankle spacers in here to give the legs more height, and it is a very tall body that's being used. You can see there is a kind of rubber undersuit under here, and it does feel very rubbery. The whole costume is, you know, from these parts here, they're like a rubber type material with a felt back. On the rear we have these cape type tassels, which are very well done. The backside are not painted or weathered in any fashion, they are just raw plastic or raw rubber. But overall I think the detail's definitely there. The armour parts, again, they're not necessarily weathered, but they are painted very well. You do have this hooded section to the armour as per the movie. It connects to the shoulder pauldrons. I think range of movement here is going to be difficult. You're not going to get a lot of movement on that head because of the rubber hood, which it comes all the way up the back. So you're not going to get a lot of articulation in that head. You're also not necessarily going to get a lot of articulation in the shoulders. And I'm already seeing a lot of creasing and bunching up with the elbow, which I think appears to be single jointed. It's not double jointed in any way. The knees look to be ratcheted and double jointed, which is good. You can get a good range of motion on there, but you can see this rubber undersuit is taking quite a bit of creasing and pressure. So you may want to just think about keeping this character in some sort of museum pose, which is what I plan to do anyway, because the collection's all museum poses as it is 90% of the time. Couple of niggles. Well, you can see right here you've got the body and the wrist peg attaching to the blue hand is not coloured blue. I think that's a little bit of a miss from Toys era. They could have even just painted a centimetre up on the body and it would have gave you the same colour as the hand. Not a huge problem because the gauntlets can move down and you can cover that. And if I just simply push that down, then yeah, okay, you've covered it, job done, not a problem anymore, which is fine. But overall, I'm quite happy with the Ronan figure. The sculpt is great. I mean, that is Lee Pace all day. You know, the sculpt, the paintwork, the texture they've managed to, you know, kind of achieve with the kind of rough black. Obviously, this is not flat painted kind of makeup. There's some texture to it on Ronan in the actual film, but they've managed to capture a little bit of texture there, which is great. Sculpt, though, I think is phenomenal. I think it's a really, really, really good sculpt. For a third-party figure, I'm not disappointed with that at all. And the armour's good, you know, it's got some nice quality to it. I mean, that is really thick. There's a good 2 or 3 mil of thickness to that central piece there. Everything's glued down and stuck pretty well. The undersuit up here again, which is connecting to the undersuit of the whole figure, is there and really, really quite nice. So yeah, I think it's a pretty decent figure. The leg armour, just soft moulded plastic. The boots, it's kind of like an ankle boot, but it has got quite a good range of motion. You can see that there, up, down, and you just push that leg armour down to hide the gap. So yeah, I think the body is pretty decent. You're going to get a good range of motion. I just worry about the suit and the armour and whether or not you'll cause any long-term damage with the rubber if you have certain poses, but in a museum pose I think it would last all day long. So yeah, there is the Ronan figure on the back. We'll do some close-ups later on. And then there is the Ronan figure on the front of the Galaxy Warlord, should I say. So yeah, for £170, not disappointed at all. We're not going to kid ourselves on and say that this is anywhere near Hot Toys quality, but you know what, it is bloody good. It's damn good. The sculpt, the outfit, the tailoring, the die-cast hammer, the paint application on the armour. It's great. I'm really liking this one, so I'm really looking forward to posing this up I only have one other Guardians of the Galaxy figure, and it's Yondu. I did have Rocket Groot from the original release. I did have Star-Lord. I did have Gamora, and I've sold them all. You know, regrets. I don't like selling stuff, so I don't, because I have too many regrets. You know, I've sold so many things over my collecting years, and I regret a lot of them. So I no longer sell stuff. I save up, I buy the things I want, and I never ever sell something, because I'll guarantee you I'll regret it in a course of time. So yeah, I kind of wish I still had the rest of the Guardians. I've only got Yondu, but Yondu's a fantastic character. Ronan's a fantastic character. I may at some point pick Star-Lord up. I know he's difficult to get and he's expensive, and finding a good condition first release for the first movie is going to be difficult, but part of the hunt is part of the fun. So let's get Ronan on his stand, let's get him posed up, and let's take a closer look at how he looks posed in the kind of museum style, and then we'll move on to looking at how he looks in the shelf and the rest of the collection. Okay, so here we have him posed in my typical museum style. It's a bit fiddly, I'll be honest with you. It's not the most creative pose in the world, but even just trying to get the proportions right, and I'm standing right, holding that hammer. Bit fiddly. It took me an extra few minutes just to work out how to get the hammer to look as if it was being held naturally, and I still don't know if I've quite nailed it, so I'll need to just finely tune it, finely feather it. The one thing I noticed is the body feels a little bit clunky, and the waist section, he seems to have a habit of wanting the torso moving forward, so I've had to try and kind of keep fiddling with him to make him stand up straight, because I always look at the side profile and make sure that it's naturally up and down rather than this top section leaning forward. One of the major difficulties of this one is this head. I wanted the head to be more tilted down. He looks at the moment as if he's looking kind of like way up above the camera. And I know when I put him on the shelf, which is almost at head height, he's going to be looking up at the ceiling. And the difficulty is the head sculpt is really restricted by the headpiece. You cannot get any articulation whatsoever to push that head down. It just springs back up, because this hood piece connected to the shoulder pauldrons is pulling the head completely up. It's hard. I appreciate it must be hard to design a figure based upon a movie costume out of different materials and try and get articulation and keep everyone happy. I'm delighted. I think it's fine. I just wish that perhaps the head cap piece wasn't interfering with the overall hood, and I've tried my best to try and pull this down, but it just doesn't seem to want to cooperate. The hood piece is definitely attached to this cap. Anyway, it is what it is. So I've just spread the legs apart, twisted the legs out slightly to get a more natural stance. You can see already, after me touching the head sculpt, the body's starting to lean a bit forward. So again, just tilting them back, try and get that natural standing up. But you can see with that face, he's already kind of peering upwards. So something I'm just going to have to fiddle with or live with. As I said, it is what it is, but right now he's looking up too high. I want him looking more straight on or looking down, so I'll fiddle with it. Overall though, I think it's a cracking figure. I really like the way the stand is hidden by the costume, and you've only got the crotch grabber piece between his legs. I'm still disappointed with the stand. I feel as if this could have been done slightly better, but I'm not going to complain too much. It is what it is. Back of the figure, you've got nice costume there, nice costume detail with this kind of like cape tassels. And overall, I think it's pretty decent. It's a pretty good figure. So let's have a look. You can see up here, there's all my 1/6 scale figures. He is going somewhere in this region here. So I'm going to have to make some space, fit him in, and then we'll see how he looks. Okay, so here he is on the shelf, and I've had to just make some space by moving Bane over to here, moving Django down. I need to find a new home for the Robocop bust, which originally sat here. And I've got another couple of figures to unbox, so there'll be more reorganisation later on today. But anyway, yeah, Ronan, he's fitting in quite nicely. I was expecting him to be, although he's a big figure and he's quite a tall body, I was expecting him to be taller than Yondu. And he's roughly around about the same height. If I zoom in here, take a look side by side, you can see he's on a taller stand than Yondu, so that he's just got an edge, but that's because of the stand. But you know, c'est la vie. I'm not an expert on actors' heights and how big and tall they should be. Perhaps it's accurate. I just feel as if he should be a bit taller. You can see here already, and this is the camera. This is me at eye level. So if I look up, this is my view, and I'm only 5'5", quite a short arse. But one thing that is slightly bothering me, as I've mentioned, is the head sculpt is looking too far up. It genuinely looks as if he's looking at the ceiling. And I like to have all my head sculpts kind of looking forward so I can see. It's not going to bother me a massive amount. And I might find a way, perhaps it's just me, perhaps it's just because I need to fiddle with it and I need to do things with it, perhaps there will be a way for me to pull that head sculpt down. But overall, when I've put him on the shelf, he looks so much better than what he did, and it's the lighting, you know, it's the lighting and next to other figures that's making him look fantastic. Do some close-ups whilst he's on the shelf. You can see that face. That's definitely Lee Pace that's in there. It's a great head sculpt. And then moving down to the armour. Now we've got the lights on them. You can see there's some red paint being applied. You can see the detail on that shoulder pauldron, the forearm armour. And I've pulled the forearm armour down so you can't really see that. Wrist peg, which is a different colour. Moving across. Hammer detail. And then down, and you can see those boots. Those boots are pretty nice. They have been weathered, so they don't look new. They match the shin armour really quite well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. I think now he's on the shelf, I'm a bit happier than what I was when I first opened the box, and I think the lighting makes a huge difference. I'll just zoom back a little bit so you can see him in amongst some other figures. So yeah, not disappointed. As I said before, £170 from TNS Figures. Manufacturer of this one is Toys Era. The beauty of third party is you don't have to wait a long time for them. So this one took about 4 months from announcement, pre-order to being with me. And I'm really happy with it. It's a good character that I like. And I think he's fitting in quite well. So yeah. Thanks very much for checking this video out. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And if you have liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. Thank you once again to my returning subscribers. And if you've not already subscribed, you know, please do so. It'd be very much appreciated. So that has been the Toys Era Galaxy Warlord, aka Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care.